Welcome back. This is going to be a real quick video about using either a synthetic oil, such as we have here, a boar oil for your clarinet, or natural oil, such as almond oil, or even boiled linseed oil. And this came to mind after I got back from my little medical issue, if you look at some stuff, and my daughter had some olive oil in the refrigerator. And if we look at it now, a couple months later, we'll see that it's not really olive oil anymore. Some liquid in there, but it's solidified. And this can happen to natural oils, and it can happen on your clarinet too, depending upon how much you put on it. If you use like this is natural almond oil, cold pressed almond oil. If you use this and put a thick coating on your clarinet and you don't wipe off the excess, what can happen over time is if you touch it, it doesn't feel like wood anymore. It feels slightly sticky. And that is the almond oil solidifying on your clarinet. Now you can use some lemon oil in your almond oil and thin it down a bit. But you have to be very careful when you use natural oils not to put too much on. If you have to always make sure you wipe off the excess. With regular synthetic oils, mineral oils, like this Selmer boar oil, you don't really have to worry about that. Now also natural oils, depending upon how you store your clarinet, can introduce, you may notice some green, basically fungus, around some posts near the wood and stuff like that. That could start happening. You can also see it on your case. One way to kill that actually is to use synthetic boar oil. It'll kill that fungus right away. And you have to remember, the reason you're adding oil to this is you want to make sure the reason you're adding oil to this is you want to make sure that the wood absorbs oil in it, because oil is better at a larger temperature range and it'll inhibit water being absorbed into the wood. If water is absorbed into the wood, if you go out when it's cold out, what happens when water freezes? It expands, and that will introduce a crack while it's sitting in your case. You don't want that. So oil is used to prevent water from being absorbed. And one quick way of checking is if you check the top of your barrel, if it's discolored at all, more not black colored, you can clearly see that it's losing its oil content, and you need to oil that, in this case like a socket. I have a video about oiling clarinets I'll put up at the very end, what to identify how to do that. But this is real briefly, natural oils are good to use, but you also have to know not to overuse them. Many times, like if you take the rings off and stuff and oil underneath the rings and put it on, you may get green sticking out of the edge. That means it wasn't properly cleaned before the ring was put back on. Make sure there wasn't excess oil on there. And like I mentioned, one way of getting rid of the green stuff is using a synthetic boar oil. Well, that's something to think about. Just remember, manufacturers during the manufacturing process, I think I have a video about the bins they use when they cut down the timber from squares to basically cylinders, is they'll put in this gigantic, looks like an oven. It's a pressure cooker really, where they really push linseed oil into the body of the wood so they can continue, it stabilizes the wood, then they can continue the manufacturing process after that. But of course, there's many oils you can use. Some people say they use olive oil, olive oil, cold pressed almond oil. There's a lot of other synthetic oils out there. Your standard boar oil you can buy from any music store works perfectly fine. Truthfully, if I'm refurbishing a clarinet from scratch, I'll use almond oil, but then I'll make sure it's really clean and everything afterwards. If I have a clarinet that comes in that smells weird or has green on it, I use synthetic boar oil because it'll wipe out the green junk there. So this is something to think about. If you go the route of either a natural oil or a synthetic oil, there is no wrong choice. Is that with a natural oil, you just have to be more careful that you clean it up to make sure that the wood is nice and clean afterwards. So when you oil the wood, put a light coating on it, give it about half a day or a full day to absorb in there, because remember the oil is absorbing into the fibers of the wood, and it takes time to be absorbed through the thickness of the wood. It takes time, but you also want to make sure that is cleaned off afterwards. If it absorbs it really fast, you know that the wood itself is dry and you can put another layer on it. But I hope that helps to make you think about why you would use a natural oil or a synthetic oil. There is no wrong answer. It's a personal preference, really. So I hope that helps a little bit. Any questions, comments, put it down below. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I hope to be putting more videos out soon. I'm starting a little bit slow because I'm actually really tired right now. Anyways, we'll see you later.